Okay, busy days, and they're not going to get any less so. It's just a deluge. It's crazy out there. Devvy Kid is standing by tonight for our first hour. How are you, and how's the book going?
Very well, thank you.
You're welcome. So it is. It's got legs and it's got traction. You're getting a response.
Yes, moving along.
It's hard now to sell books. I don't care who you are. It's just hard. People don't read anymore. But this is a special book, and I think the ad is very effective. And there is always room for books like yours that are. I don't know how you got it done quickly. That used to be, Brad Steiger and I used to talk about that all the time. It takes so long to get books done. By the time they're done, if it's a political or topically oriented book, it's too late. But you got yours done, and it's totally relevant, which is good. So, excellent.
Well, it's, like I said, I tune into Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity while I'm driving around town, not to listen to them, but to listen to the callers.
Yeah.
And watching what happened after 2008, the Tea Party revolution, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, they're wonderful, millions of Americans, but they don't understand the problem with fiat currency, the disabilities of our monetary system. Unless you have an understanding of that, we will never have economic prosperity in this country. That privately owned cartel has been robbing us blind with the blessings of these crooks in the Congress. And things, of course, like trade, it's, you hear things about, but the people that are impacted by free trade, you have to wonder why they keep electing somebody like Paul Ryan, who has endorsed and voted for all of these destructive treaties, that have devastated states like Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why do you keep voting for the person who destroyed your livelihood?
That's a real blind spot in the American political psyche that doesn't make any sense to me. I have to think that a lot of people fall under the category you just mentioned. They just don't understand. They operate on a very slight, rather shiftless, emotional platform when they're looking at issues and people. It's about telegenics. It's about image. It's about little things. It's not about the big picture. They just don't have time, or they don't have the intellectual acumen. They can't do it. They don't understand it. Now, if you look back at Mike Pence, his record on trade is not in sync with Trump's. Now, they're going to sheep dip him, and he'll change his tune. There's no question about that. But his record going back to his 12 years before he became governor in Indiana was not good. Very much free trade oriented, no tariffs, none of that. And I got to think that he was either a player or he was stupid. And just to be charitable, let's say he was kind of stupid. He went along to get along to go along. I just don't have the answer. But he'll play the game.
I didn't know this about the Federal Reserve until 26 years ago, and it was by sheer chance that I, became interested in it. But when I started doing the research, and once I understood the problem with us renting our own money and being charged interest.
Oh, it's absurd. It's so crazy.
For worthless paper.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He was a congressman. I'll remember in a minute. But he fought all the time about the Federal Reserve. They named an Air Force base after him. But one of his speeches was right on point. He said that Congress needed to borrow $49 million to build, $49 million for the Panama Canal. But he said by the time we borrow from the Federal Reserve and pay interest, we'll have paid $150 million. He said, now somebody tell me how that makes sense.
It makes sense if you're a Zionist, Bolshevik, Marxist, Communist, Jewish, Israeli, International Rothschild, City of London banker. It makes perfect sense. If you're Goldman Sachs, it makes perfect sense. If you're J.P. Morgan, It's all about money. They don't give a damn about anything else, and we pay. And we're stupid.
Yes.
We should never do it. We should simply refuse. No.
You know, in 2007, Ron Paul introduced a bill, he's still in the House of Representatives, to abolish the unconstitutional privately owned Federal Reserve. There were 0 co-sponsors, 0. And people ask me that why. I can tell you exactly why. Because 100% of your federal income tax dollars, not one penny, funds a single function of the federal government. So people say, well, where does it go? Well, it goes for what they call transfer payments. It all goes for interest on the national debt that's created by these crooks, and to the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund. They say, well, how do they pay for the government? They borrow it from the candy store, the magical money machine called the Fed. If without the Federal Reserve, there wouldn't be all of this, quote, money for these undeclared endless wars, trillions of dollars.
It's all on credit. It's all on usury.
But it's all getting ready to blow up, and it's going to.
And you know what they'll do? The Rothschilds are not going to disappear. They'll let it blow up. They'll let it collapse. They'll acquire the national resources of many countries to write off the amount owed. It'll crash, and they'll set a new game up in the wreckage of the old. They'll do it again. You watch. That's what's going to happen.
Well, since the money is worthless, you know, and this is in my book. Dear friend of mine, he gave me permission to use these amazing color presentation slides, where he shows in the simplest terms that, basically in 1913, the dollar was worth 100 pennies.
That's
Today,
right.
The dollar is worth 4 pennies.
3 cents? Okay, 4 cents.
4 cents. Yes,
Yeah.
And that's why everybody says, well, things are so expensive. Well, that's due to a number of reasons. One is withholding tax, and the other is the fact that this money is backed by nothing. When you hear these politicians, well, it's backed by the good faith of the government. No, it's only backed by an illusion, what the American people think that it's worth, when in fact it's worth nothing. So, if the central bank is loaning us nothing except ink on a stroke of a key now on a computer instead of ink in a ledger, why don't we just, manufacture one coin for 19,400 billion, which is what it is right now, and hand it to the Fed and shut it down? Since that they're loaning us nothing of value, why not?
Couldn't agree more. Okay, you've been watching the convention. I have not. The only thing worse than this one will be the Democrat convention.
That's torture.
That will be torture. The biggest betrayal, I think, you can't really point to Hillary and use the word betrayal because she was born that way. But the biggest voluntary choice to betray Americans by the millions is Bernie Sanders, the communist. He stabbed millions of Americans in the back. He took their money, and these people couldn't afford it. That was his whole thing. These people were $5 and $10 and $20, and he raised millions. What do you, 200 million? Something like that. And he stabbed those people in the back when he endorsed that war witch. Unbelievable. I want to see how they're going to handle that. Now, back to the RNC, the Republican National Convention. Here's the USA Today headline. Ex-Trump rival Ted Cruz, let's just call him the creeper. That's what I call him. Gets his GOP convention moment. Now, Trump didn't have to give him this moment. He didn't have to give him airtime at all. And Ted Cruz is not going to endorse Trump because the creeper is looking forward to running in 2020. The creeper is a globalist player. The creeper's father, I do believe the evidence is quite substantial that he was involved with the CIA and he was involved with Lee Harvey Oswald, who was the patsy, and the murder of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I think that his father, a Cuban activist, was over here. They've got a photo that looks like a dead ringer to me. And that makes, if the old man is CIA, That makes the creeper CIA. He's a cutout. All right? Remember his wife and all that stuff? She had a breakdown and she's not stable, but they got these photo ops at home of the perfect family. The guy was caught with his zipper down too many times. This is not a joke. Those women have been paid off. None of them have said a word, as I predicted, as you predicted, as anybody would have predicted. He is a philandering, low-life sleazebag who doesn't have the political dignity, if that isn't a contradiction in terms, to stand up and say, we must support the party's nominee. I think Donald Trump is a hell of a nice guy. He didn't have to give this guy a minute. And all he did was give the creeper a chance to say, look at me, I'll be back in 2020. That's what this is all about for him. I'm telling you. That's my view.
When Ted Cruz was walking down the hallway to get to the stage...
Has he already spoken? Has he already spoken?
Yes.
Okay,
tell me.
When
he was walking down the hallway, he was booed by all the people in the hallway before he ever got to the stage.
I hope they've got that video. I want to run that clip. That's great.
Now, when he came walking out, all eyes were on him, and his demeanor was, look at me, I'm a victim. The look on his face was, I am the martyr.
Oh, this should have been my day, and I'm walking here. I'm bleeding.
It was written all over his face.
Mm-hmm.
He is the victim. And for one thing, as far as listening to these anchors who have covered all of these for so many decades,
right.
Speakers always have their speeches vetted by the party's nominee because the convention is all about the nominee. However, Ted Cruz did not have his speech tonight vetted by anybody. So while he was standing there looking like the victim, he started out with his usual spiel and went on to talk about the slain cops down in Dallas, and he was, mostly a cultural thing that he was talking about. But towards the end of his speech, while people were waiting for him to make an endorsement, and believe me, when he first came to the stage, the Texas contingent of delegates went crazy for him. I mean, they just thought, they were jumping up and down, Ted. However, as he got towards the end, some of the other states, like New York, were booing him while he was talking.
Good.
Now, at the end, he said that everybody should vote the ticket up and down and vote their conscience. He did not endorse Trump. He mentioned Trump's name one time, and it was, lukewarm at best.
Yeah.
So here he was standing there. I am the martyr. I'm the victim. Look at poor me. And listening to the anchors and their guests, all of them said the same thing, that he came off looking like a sore loser, and that he would pay for this down the road, and that they believe the reason what he did is not only is he running for re-election in 2018 here as a senator, for which is he can't prove he's a citizen of any country, not the United States. He gave up his Canadian citizenship.
That's right.
But he was playing tonight for 2020. That's supposedly what
all right. Well, you agree. You saw it, and then, okay, that was my take, and we were right. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad they booed him. I'm glad they're not fooled by this guy. He is a creeper. He's a creepy, ugly, and I don't mean necessarily physically, although he doesn't telegenically cut the mustard either, but he's an ugly man. He's just an ugly man.
Well, when you look back at what he did to Dr. Ben Carson.
I do. I remember.
Remember Montgomery Sibley Blair?
Sure.
Okay.
Blair Sibley, yeah.
Blair Sibley. He has stopped his effort to have the Madam's Black Book because he said he wanted to expose it because it would have an effect on the election. The fact that he's not pursuing it anymore tells me that Cruz was the target in that book. Because if Cruz had won, then I believe Montgomery would still be going after him. But since he's not the nominee, why bother?
He better hold that book in a nice, safe place and be prepared to roll it out in a couple, 3 years.
I know that he has made a half a dozen copies. They're in places around the globe, So, yes, he's taken as much precaution as he can. But it was, Ted Cruz's performance was truly nauseating. I don't like him. I don't trust him. We know that he's a liar. He has lied about his eligibility because his personal ambition is everything to Ted Cruz. Despite all of his, Christianity and pushing, his candidacy because he's such a devout Christian and all of that, he's a liar. And liars cannot be trusted. But it was very difficult to watch.
Well, I'm not surprised, and so the creeper lived up to his form. All right. Booze for Cruz. Here we go. Booze for Cruz as Trump's primary rival offers no endorsement. This is USA Today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, of course, he knows how that will play out there. It plays right into the hands of CNN. And I'll say this, that Fox News' coverage of this convention is so bad, so terrible, that I've had to endure CNN because it
really that's saying a lot. What is it about Fox that is so bad?
That when the speakers are on, the anchors are on.
Oh, they're over there talking over them. Yeah.
They're talking over. They're all wearing headphones, and they have guests. And
so it's just background noise. They're using the convention as a backdrop for their own egos.
Yeah, but CNN, they didn't cover every second of every speech. They also had their anchors, which were just absolutely sickening. There was a guy, he was a senator from the state of Kentucky in their legislature, and he is a Latino. And he gave really an excellent speech. And at the end on CNN, I was just about to flip back to Fox because their panel, these are bleeding heart, quote, progressives, which are nothing more than socialists and communists. Okay? And I believe it was Van Jones. Remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's one of their commentators.
Of course.
And you know what he said? Well, gee, that was a great speech, and that's exactly what the Republicans wanted because, he's a minority. But we all know that it doesn't do any good because Trump is a xenophobic and misogynist and blah, 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 blah. I just went, let me out of here. Let me out of here.
Not good. No class.
It's a great speech, but...
Yeah. Our whole media stranglehold is something else that's not understood by people. We've just got to break it.
It's worse than a stranglehold. These people are obscene. And this is going to be my next column. I forget who the person is. I saved all my notes and stuff. But somebody on the left, the media, after Mrs. The woman who lost her son, Sean.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the Benghazi mom.
Yes. This guy came out after her speech and said that how terrible it was, and he didn't give a damn how many of her kids died.
I know. I saw that. I couldn't believe
Isn't that just obscene?
See, that's part of America now, though. We've lost decorum. We've lost care. The scum, the riffraff, seems to be able to gain the limelight and exposure whenever it wants it. And the media is to blame for that. They're not screening these creeps. They're promoting them.